I'll never forget the sound of that song, the one that was supposed to be ours. The beat was steady, the lights were low, and the crowd had melted away until it felt like the world was holding its breath, waiting for me and her to take that one perfect moment. My palms were sweaty, my chest tight, but all I could think was, this is it. This is the night everything changes. I had been building up to it for weeks, rehearsing my lines, practicing a smile in the mirror that looked casual but not too casual, making sure I had the right cologne so she'd remember me even when the music faded. She wasn't just any girl. She was the girl who made walking into school feel like a movie scene. The one who had me rewriting entire versions of my life in my head, each ending with her name written beside mine. And when she said yes to that dance, I swear, my knees almost buckled. People probably thought I was nervous about the steps, but no, I was nervous because I finally had her. Right there. All eyes blurred into the background, and for the first time, it felt like the universe was actually rooting for me. Except the universe has a cruel sense of humor. One moment, her hand was resting lightly in mine. Her eyes locked on me as the song swelled, and I thought, this is it. This is the beginning of us. But the very next second, everything shattered. Her smile faded, her fingers slipped away, and she walked off the dance floor. Just like that. No explanation. No glance back. Like I didn't exist. I froze. My body went cold. People were still dancing around me, laughing, moving, lost in their own rhythm. But I was standing in the middle of that floor like a spotlight had just burned me alive. My brain kept replaying the last 2 minutes, searching for the mistake, the wrong word, the wrong look. What had I done? Why would she just leave me like that? I should have walked away too, pretended it didn't matter. But instead, I stayed there, humiliated, exposed, and desperate for answers. And that's when it happened. Another hand reached out. It was smaller, gentler, almost hesitant. And when I turned, my heart nearly stopped. Because it wasn't her. It was someone else, someone I knew, but never in a million years expected to see standing there. Her sister. She looked at me like she knew everything I was feeling, like she'd been watching the whole thing unfold and couldn't stand the silence any longer. There was no pity in her eyes, no judgment, just this strange spark, this question neither of us dared to say out loud. And right there, in the middle of that crowded dance floor, she whispered 3 words that flipped my entire night upside down. Her sister's voice was softer than the music, but it cut straight through the noise. "You don't deserve that," she said, almost like it was a secret between us. Now, before I explain how I ended up standing there, hand in hand with her sister of all people, you need to understand the history. Because this wasn't just some random school dance. It was a storm that had been building for months, maybe even years, and I just didn't see it until it was too late. The girl who left me on the floor, her name's Emily. Everyone knew her. Not because she was the loudest or the flashiest, but because she carried herself like she owned every room she walked into. She was confident, magnetic, the kind of person who made you feel lucky just to stand next to her. And for as long as I can remember, I wanted to be that person who got to stand there the closest. But here's the part one never admitted out loud. Emily and I were never really together. Not officially. We were almost. Always almost. We texted late at night. We shared looks in the hallway that lasted a beat too long. She laughed at my dumbest jokes. And every time I thought she was pulling me closer, she found a way to keep me just out of reach. Like I was the backup option she couldn't quite let go of. Still, I convinced myself that this dance was going to change everything. That once we had that moment, once she saw me, not just as the guy who lingered around, but as the guy who could actually be hers, she'd stop keeping me at arm's length. And then there was her sister, Maya. She was different, quieter, not invisible, but she never demanded the spotlight like Emily did. Maya had this calm energy, this way of listening like every word you said mattered. She and I talked sometimes, mostly in passing, casual stuff. She knew about my obsession with old vinyl records, and I knew she doodled in her notebooks when class got boring. But I never thought much about it. Not compared to Emily. Emily was the dream. Maya was just part of the background. Or at least, that's what I thought. Looking back, maybe Maya saw more than I realized. Maybe she'd been watching the way Emily played with my feelings, the way I let myself get strung along. Maybe she saw the cracks in the story I was so desperate to believe. Because when Emily walked away from me on that dance floor, it wasn't just embarrassing. It was like the final proof that everything I had been holding on to was never real. And when Maya stepped in, offering her hand, it wasn't pity. It was like she had been waiting for the exact moment to show me something I wasn't ready to see. But the truth? Taking her hand didn't just feel like comfort. It felt dangerous. Like if I said yes, everything between me, Emily, and Maya would shift in ways I couldn't undo. And in that instant, with her hand hovering inches from mine, I had to make a choice I knew would change everything. My fingers hovered in the air, caught between the ghost of Emily's touch and the warmth of Maya's waiting hand. It should have been simple. Walk away, save face, pretend none of this ever happened. But my chest was pounding like the whole room was watching, waiting to see what I'd do next. I took her hand. The moment I did, the music felt different. Not louder, not softer, just sharper. Like every lyric was suddenly aimed at me. Maya's grip was steady, almost reassuring, but her eyes told a different story. She wasn't smiling. She looked conflicted, like she knew exactly how messy this was about to get, but she wasn't going to let me drown alone. And that's when I felt it, eyes burning into us from across the room. Emily. She had stopped walking. She wasn't far, just a few steps off the floor, turned slightly, as if she'd meant to leave, but something made her stay. Her expression was unreadable, part shock, part anger, part something I couldn't quite place. But one thing was clear, she had seen us. Seen me. Seen her sister. My stomach twisted. What was I doing? Emily was the one I'd been chasing, the one I thought I loved. And yet, here I was, letting Maya pull me into a rhythm that felt easy, natural, almost like it was supposed to happen. But in the back of my mind, a storm was forming. I could already imagine the whispers, the questions, the fallout. Emily wasn't the type to forgive, not even close. And Maya, was she really just trying to save me from humiliation, or was there something more? Something she'd been holding back all along. The song built toward its chorus, and for a moment, time slowed. Maya's hair brushed against her face as she turned, her eyes locking onto mine with a quiet intensity. My heart raced, not from embarrassment this time, but from something else I couldn't admit. That's when Emily started walking back toward us. Her steps were slow, deliberate, her gaze fixed on me like a challenge. My chest tightened. I didn't know if she was about to drag me off the floor, scream at Maya, or pretend like none of this mattered. But I knew one thing. The real dance hadn't even started yet. Emily's heels clicked against the gym floor with every step, cutting through the bass of the song like a countdown. Maya's hand tightened in mine, but she didn't flinch. Her chin lifted just slightly, like she was bracing herself for impact. And me? My stomach felt like it was folding in on itself. The crowd around us kept moving, laughing, spinning, oblivious. But I couldn't hear them anymore. All I could hear was my own heartbeat, thundering so loud I thought it might give me away. Emily stopped just inches from us. The look on her face wasn't anger, at least, not the kind I expected. It was worse. It was that cold, unreadable stare people give you when they've already decided something about you, and nothing you say will change it. "What are you doing?" she asked, her voice flat, but sharp enough to cut. I opened my mouth, but no words came. What could I even say? That I didn't know? That I was confused? That I never meant for it to look like this? Maya spoke before I could. "He didn't do anything wrong," she said softly, but firmly. "You left him." Emily's eyes flicked to her sister, narrowing. "So you just decided to step in? Like that?" The air between them was electric, thick with something years deeper than me. I realized in that moment this wasn't just about a dance. This was about whatever history lived between them, something I'd never been part of, but now I was right in the middle of it. Emily took a slow breath, her eyes never leaving mine. "You think this means something?" she asked. "You think holding her hand erases everything?" The music changed, something faster, harder. People around us jumped into the beat, but we stayed frozen in this triangle of silence. Maya shifted closer to me, almost protective, and I saw Emily's jaw tighten. For the first time, I noticed something flicker in Maya's eyes. Not fear, not guilt, something else. Something that made me wonder if she'd been carrying a secret this whole time, one that was finally ready to break loose. Emily leaned forward just enough for only us to hear. "You don't know what you're getting into," she whispered. "Neither of you do." Her words sent a chill straight through me. Because the way she said it, it wasn't jealousy. It wasn't anger. It was warning. I glanced at Maya, searching for answers. but she wouldn't meet my eyes. Her lips pressed into a tight line, her grip still firm but trembling now, as if she knew exactly what her sister meant and couldn't bring herself to say it out loud. And right then, with Emily's warning hanging heavy in the air, I realized something huge was hiding beneath the surface, something neither of them wanted to admit. Emily stepped back, her expression unreadable. "Tell him," she said to Maya, "or I will." The music dropped, the lights flashed, and in that split second before Maya opened her mouth, I knew my night was about to change forever. Maya's lips parted, but no sound came out. Her eyes darted between me and Emily, torn, desperate, like the words she held back might burn if they escaped. Finally, she whispered, "It wasn't supposed to be you." My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" Emily's face darkened, her patience snapping. "Don't play dumb, Maya. He deserves to know." Maya shook her head, almost pleading. "Not like this." But Emily didn't stop. She leaned closer, her voice a dagger meant for both of us. "She liked you first." The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. My mind spun, replaying every small conversation, every quiet smile Maya had given me in the past year. Had I missed it? All the times I thought she was just being kind, was it more than that? Maya's cheeks flushed, her eyes shimmering with something between anger and shame. "I told you I wasn't going to ruin it for her," she snapped at Emily. And that's when the real bomb dropped. Emily smirked, tilting her head. "Funny, because you already did." Before I could even process, Maya's grip slipped from my hand. She turned to me with trembling lips, ready to confess the one thing that could tear everything apart. Maya's voice shook, but the words were sharp enough to cut through the music. "Emily, you don't get to do this anymore." Emily folded her arms, her smirk fading. "Do what? Pretend you didn't know? Pretend you haven't been playing with him while I—" Maya stopped herself, her breath catching. Her eyes met mine, raw and unguarded. "While I've been in love with you this whole time." The world tilted. Every sound, the music, the laughter, the crowd, faded into static. My chest tightened as the truth sank in. Maya, not Emily. The quiet looks, the way she listened, the hand that had steadied mine when everything fell apart. It had always been her. Emily's face flickered, a mixture of shock and fury, but beneath it, guilt. Real guilt. "You were never supposed to say that," she muttered. Maya's hands clenched into fists. "Because you wanted him just enough to keep me silent. You couldn't love him, but you couldn't let me have him either." The words landed like a punch. Emily looked away, her walls finally cracking. And for the first time, I saw the truth, not the girl I'd been chasing, but someone who had been chasing control. My heart raced, torn between the dream I'd been holding onto and the reality standing right in front of me. Emily opened her mouth, ready to fight back, but then she froze. Because suddenly, a voice cut in from the edge of the dance floor. "Maybe neither of you deserve him." I turned, stunned. It was my best friend, Jordan, someone who had been there through every late-night rant, every secret confession about Emily, every word I'd never said out loud. He stood there, eyes locked on me, but there was something new in his expression, something I'd never noticed before. "I told you she'd break your heart," Jordan said quietly. "But you never listened. And maybe you never noticed who's been here all along." The air went still, heavier than it had been all night. 3 pairs of eyes burned into me. Emily, furious, Maya, vulnerable, and Jordan, unreadable. And in that moment, I realized the dance wasn't about choosing between 2 sisters anymore. It was about facing the truth I'd been blind to all along. The music had shifted into something slow, almost too soft for a room so charged with tension. But it didn't matter anymore. The real noise was inside me. 3 faces, 3 truths, all staring me down at once. Emily, the dream I'd built up in my head. Maya, the quiet anchor I never realized I needed. And Jordan, the friend who had been holding pieces of my heart without me even noticing. For the first time all night, I took a step back. Away from Emily's sharp eyes, away from Maya's trembling hope, even away from Jordan's steady stare. I needed space to breathe, to think, to see clearly. And that's when it hit me. I had spent so much time waiting for someone else to choose me, that I had forgotten I could choose for myself. Emily shifted, like she was about to speak, but I raised a hand. "You were right," I said softly. "I didn't know what I was getting into. But now I do. And it's not this. Not the games, not the guilt." Her expression faltered, But for once, she didn't argue. Maybe deep down, she knew. Then I turned to Maya. Her eyes were shining, her lips pressed together like she was afraid to breathe. My chest ached, not because I didn't feel something, but because I did, more than I wanted to admit. But I couldn't give her what she deserved, not while my heart was still untangling itself from the mess I'd been living in. You matter, I told her gently, more than you think. But if I let go of one dream just to grab another, I'll end up breaking us both. And I don't want that. Her hand slipped from mine, slow and reluctant, but she nodded. For a second, it looked like tears might spill, but then she gave me the smallest, most genuine smile I'd ever seen from her. And in that moment, I knew she understood. Finally, my eyes landed on Jordan. My best friend. My constant. I saw now what I hadn't before. The way he had always been there. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. Because he cared in a way I'd been too blind to notice. I don't know what this means yet, I admitted, my voice low, just for him. But maybe it's time I start paying attention. For the first time all night, the weight lifted from my chest. Not because I'd chosen someone, but because I'd finally chosen myself. The music swelled, couples kept dancing, life moved forward around us. And as I walked off the floor, Emily quiet, Maya thoughtful, Jordan by my side, I realized something important. Sometimes the people we think we need are only shadows of the story we've been telling ourselves. The real ones, the ones who matter, are often right there, waiting for us to finally look their way. And that was the night I stopped chasing the wrong dance and finally learned how to stand still long enough to find the right one.